Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time you are listening to this podcast. Welcome back. I know it's been about, I don't know how many weeks it's been. It's been a few weeks since I've done a podcast episode, but I've truly been working on being inspired by creating. I don't like to just randomly create things. I like to be inspired by creating things. And so, um, I've been in the works doing a lot of work around condoms lately, so it inspired me to talk about sex. So I did a post on Instagram recently, and I posed the question. I said, the question says, let's talk about sex. What are some of the issues you experience as a bigger guy? So as I begin to go into those questions, immediately I did not expect such an outpour of questioning, but immediately I started getting so many questions. And so it led me to put together the series. I want to talk about sex for a few episodes. So definitely one thing here is that really stuck out to me was how there were a lot of experiences that mimics my own experience being a big guy, because although I didn't grow up as a big kid, I wasn't a big kid, but I've been a big adult my whole adult life. I've been a bigger guy. So um the first answer someone provided was the fetishization of bigger guys can make it easier to hook up but harder to find true love. And I'm talking to you today, and I'm single as fuck. So, I often feel that it's much easier. I mean, I don't know. Actually, now when I like, take my lens and I zoom out, I realize that this could apply to, all guys, smaller guys, bigger guys, medium guys, whatever. But I find that to be specifically true for bigger guys, that everyone wants the idea of having sex with the teddy bear, but no one wants to take the teddy bear home forever, kind of thing. Um, Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, bought the sweatshirt, and I'm ready to move on. I've been there. So I think part of my celibacy journey is because I was finding this to be a very small piece of the pie, but still a piece of the pie that added up to the point where I feel like I just needed to like take a break, figure out, why am I attracting certain people? Why are they also attracted to me? And kind of work on myself a little bit. And I feel like once I removed the sex from the equation, I gained so much clarity from it. So I definitely feel like I feel you on that one, buddy. The next question that was asked, says, back then I was ashamed of being a big guy, and not being sexually active. I shied away from it, which that part hit me like a ton of bricks, cause once I got over the 200 threshold mark of like pounds, um I remember feeling like, I'm over this 200-pound threshold mark. I started to not feel, well, I already felt weird and awkward in my body because I was going through a whole shitload of things in my childhood. So being sexually active was not one of the things I was doing. I did not have sex until I became an adult. I didn't have sex as a younger preteen or teen, whatever. So I definitely understood this. I shied away from it for as long as I humanly could. So I definitely understand that. The next comment is, I haven't experienced. It says none at all. LOL. I mean, I might be out of breath sometimes, but So that one I thought was really funny. I like the comedic humor of that answer. I mean, listen, more power to all the people out there who have been able to have um, sex lives being a bigger guy that wasn't predicated on being a bigger guy, just having a nice, healthy sex life. So, more power to you. We all don't need drama. The next one is real funny. It says 0. I got 5 kids to prove it. So you know what that means. There's a lot of sex being had there. So that one was quite explanatory. Now this one takes the funny cake. It says, I always get big dudes have a small penis, so I feel like I have to prove them wrong. This one took the cake for me because I don't get that comment a lot, like to me personally, but I understand the need to feel that you got something to prove that the smaller guy doesn't. Oh God, smaller as in like shirt size, not penis size. Like you have something to prove, and I think that one really got me going because it really fueled my ego. Like I feel that like when you about to get to it, you be like, I'm tear that ass up because you feel like you got to, you know, you got something to prove. You know, the next comment was also around the same thing about feeling like, you know, big guys have smaller penises. The next one is another one I want to dive a little bit deeper into because this one happens quite frequently to a lot of us. So, how many of you have been in this? So, I'm going to tell you the comment. The comment says, too often, I get put in the friend zone too often. I paraphrase the comment, but that's what it's saying. Too often I get put in the friend zone. And I'm going to give you guys an example. How many times have you been in not in a relationship, but how many times have you been the wingman of a guy who gets the person that you really want, but you have to play the background for someone else's to shine? I've been there. I've also been the big guy where I like someone, but you find out they don't like big guys. So you play coy or you pretend to be their friend, but really deep down inside you want to be with them, but you know they don't like bigger guys. So you just basically play yourself. I've been there. Or if you feeling so up to it to be brave enough, bold enough to actually be yourself and say, hey, I like this person, I'm a step to you. And then immediately you get hit with the, oh, you not my type. Fuck out of here. So I know what that feels like. He said, this next comment says, what specifically he deals with is having to give people a heads up to say, I sweat a lot and I'm about to rain. This sweat about to rain on you. I thought that was funny because I'm pretty sure I'm going to step out on a limb and say like 97% of big guys sweat a lot. I happen to be one of the 3%, but this is a thing. Like, so I can imagine a lot of big guys sweat. A lot of big guys even sweat in the winter. So I can only imagine what sex on a hot summer day is like. Listen, get your towels ready because it's about to be extra wet. So the next comment in the question stated, dating small women who want it rough, and me worrying about I might smother them. I think that one is a real one. Like, all jokes aside, if you are dating women, especially if you're dating women that are much smaller than you are, then there is a feeling like I might break you in half. Cause like you talking about you want it rough, but like you don't understand the power I got over here being a big guy. That right there is like very much a concern. Very much a concern. Especially if you're doing like certain positions where you're on top of them. Oh, you definitely feel like, yo, I'm going to jail for murder. I might crush this girl. Like for real. Um this comment comes from a very good friend of mine, and it says, being told I'm sexy for a big guy. And he says my response is actually fuck you, which I get you on that. I've been told that same thing too, and that's a backwards ass compliment. So if you're one of those people who make those comments, I'm gonna employ you to find another way to compliment people, because saying you're sexy for a big guy is a backwards compliment. Um, in the same way, it's a backwards compliment to tell a woman you're pretty for a dark skinned girl. That's a backwards ass compliment. You can't tell someone they're pretty only because of their skin color. They're pretty because they're pretty. Point blank. Period. I'm not sexy because I'm big. I'm sexy because I'm sexy. Like that's it. Sexy don't have a size. And I really want to preach that till the cows come home. Sexy does not have a size. Really, I feel like this might be a little bit more of my personal opinion, but I feel like sexy is an air about you. It's the way you carry yourself. It's the swag you possess in yourself. It's your personality. Those things make you sexy. And none of those things are attached to size. So someone else, the next and final comment of this series part 1 is that he says, I can't find a partner because I'm a big guy. Now, I feel where that comes from, because, you know, as many of you know, if you're avid listeners of this podcast, or if you read any of my content on xltribe.com, you know that I'm an avid, big, I'm like really big on therapy. And one of the things that I'm really big on in therapy is I feel like sometimes we as bigger guys, there is like an aura about us, especially for those of us who grew up being bigger. There's an air around us that sometimes we feel, because we're bigger, it's harder to find relationships or harder to find partners. Now, I'm also not going to take away the fact that in actuality, the world says bigger guys are not handsome, they're not sexy. So being a bigger guy, if the world tells other people they shouldn't look at us like that, then it does make it a little bit more difficult to find a partner. But my response to him was, what I learned in this business, I think it applies also to when you're looking for a mate, a partner. Find your tribe, and then you will find the pot of gold. You might be in a place that doesn't best serve you. So moving, theoretically moving, not actually moving, but like, for example, I'll give you a perfect example. Like, I know, like in some places, that I've heard people say places like Miami may not be the best suiting place for a bigger person, bigger woman or guy, right? For example, I don't know that to be true, so I'm just making like a statement based on what I hear. I've also lived in Miami. I feel like that was also my experience, but it's not a blanket statement. But I did feel like one of the things that I gained by moving to Atlanta was that I moved to a place where bigger men are literally celebrated and appreciated. So it also feels like moving here was great for me as far as dating wise go, because it opened the pool of people that were now into me, which I didn't have before. So I'll definitely say being in this place, Atlanta, definitely helped me with, number one, gaining my confidence, but number two, opening my pool of people. There's so many different options of people that I can date now that I live in Atlanta, because Atlanta appreciates a bigger guy and a bigger woman. For, like, to be frank, okay, they like them thick here, both sexes. So, that is definitely something that I would take into account when it comes to that. But I'm not necessarily saying you need to move, but finding your tribe, meaning like go on Facebook, find places where it's like big men are appreciated. If you're into women, I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of groups like that. Like, for example, there's a beard group started by women who want to only see men with beard. So I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of pages where there's nothing but women that want to see bigger guys. And I know for a fact there are tons of pages where guys only want to see big women. That's what they're into. That's all they want to see. So finding those communities mean you get to find your tribe. So I will focus on finding my tribe, and hopefully your tribe will connect you to someone who is genuinely interested in you for all that you have to offer. So guys, I really, 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 really want to thank all of you for listening today. This is part 1 of the series where we talk about sex. Next part series, I definitely want to dive a little deeper into sex, specifically around being a bigger guy. But next time, I want to talk about the act of sex. So until next time, please, please, please send an episode to your friend. Tell them to listen. If you know people who are looking for their tribe, literally send them to XL Tribe, because here is a place where bigger men are celebrated in all forms and fashions. So tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend to tell another friend to listen. And of course, every time you listen, you help people find their tribes. So think about it that way. You doing good, and they get something good out of it. So thank y'all for listening. Again, until the next episode, y'all have a wonderful rest of your week, and thanks for listening.